Carol Beaumont.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. And like other members in this House, I too, my heart goes out to the people of Japan and also to our own people here in Canterbury, and I think that everybody in this House has done their bit to try and assist with that, and I particularly want to acknowledge the Christchurch MPs from all parties who have been working so hard. I do, however, find it somewhat distasteful that the last speaker thinks that it's not actually okay for members of this House to comment on other important social matters that affect our country. We cannot have that. We are a House of Representatives, and it does not mean that we don't care about these issues if we raise other issues of concern. And I want to add my voice and say that I believe we are going backwards. New Zealand is becoming a more unfair society. Inequality is growing. We are becoming a worse place to bring up our children. That is not the New Zealand I want, and I don't think it's the New Zealand that most New Zealanders want. And the government is out of touch with the reality facing most New Zealanders, particularly low and middle income New Zealanders. And that reality sees New Zealanders facing petrol price rises, rental increases, especially in Auckland where I work. The rental increases are just phenomenal. Power price increases, increases in early childhood education fees, significant increases in the cost of food, and certainly ACC, the list goes on and on. People are facing ever-rising costs, and it is hurting them. It is hurting them very badly. And I want to say that I think is something that the members opposite are completely out of touch with. They obviously are not talking to the low and middle income New Zealanders who really are struggling. And people's faces when they talk to you about what these latest petrol price rises mean for them, for example. So that reality of an increasing cost of living is very serious. And when you look at the other side of the ledger, the income side of the ledger, what you see is that prices are rising far faster than wages. Real wages went backwards by 3.4% in the year to June 2010. 100,000 more people are now living on benefits, and they haven't made that as a lifestyle choice. And a pathetic and insulting 25 cents per hour increase in the minimum wage, as my colleague Darian Fenton says, that is just not going to cut it for people who are reliant on the minimum wage. That is $10 gross per week for a 40-hour-a-week worker in terms of extra income. That's not enough to buy an extra litre of milk per day for their families or a block of cheese per week. And for those that are interested, the article by Michael Parker in today's New Zealand Herald, Stop Kowtowing to Unfair Prices, is very interesting on the issue of milk prices. But all of these figures, they are more than figures. They are about people who are struggling. And what we've seen in this country is more money for a very few people and a lot less for many in this country, and that puts pressure on families. It puts pressure on women who are trying to balance the family budget and the children that are living in poverty in this country. And for those of you who haven't bothered to read the Salvation Army report, Stalled, 1 in 5 children in New Zealand are living in poverty. That's not the country I want to live in. Schools are having to provide lunches, they're having to provide breakfasts. More and more families, low and middle income families, are having to seek food parcels, and people do it with a sense of shame. They don't do it as a lifestyle choice, like the Prime Minister suggested. And by November 2010, the Salvation Army in that year had 19,000 new households seeking help from them. In the area I work in the Maungakiekia electorate, my electorate office has seen an increasing number of cases where the cost of living is severely impacting on families. And that's having a negative effect on children. And that is an issue for the present and for the future. The significant issue is the price of housing. And secondly, the constantly escalating food prices. Like the mother of 3 who lost her job, who received no redundancy, but who had a medium level of debt, was reduced to seeking handouts of food in order to get by. She fed her children before she had anything to eat herself. That issue is one that those opposite are out of touch with.